evening, everyone, and thank you very much for tuning in to Shelly Speaks Truth right here on TubeOfferTV.tv. I am your host, Shelly, here along with my co-host, Dre. I would like to say welcome to everyone who has tuned in tonight, and I'm very happy that you are here with us. Now, we are streaming from a few other platforms, I believe. It's usually X, Instagram, and Facebook. I believe those are the other three platforms that we stream from. But that is not for the entirety of the show. So if you would like to see the entire show, once those platforms end, or right now, you can come on over to 2rawfortv.tv to see the entire show. Now there is a few things that I want to go over tonight and that I want to discuss with everyone watching. And the main thing that we will be discussing tonight is if the Department of Education is failing students. Now,
Let me just give you a heads up real quick that I didn't pull any of the videos yet, so just don't push me on a video right now, okay? I'll be working on that for you right
now. Not a problem. And I just want to put this disclaimer out there. If you hear me coughing a lot tonight, please don't get irritated with me. I do have a cold, but I did not want to cancel the show tonight because I absolutely love being here. I love the support that we receive, and I like to engage with you, the audience, and your viewership is greatly appreciated. So again, please do not get irritated with me. If you hear me coughing a lot, I am battling a really bad cold, but I absolutely wanted to be here for tonight's show because there's a few things that I really want to talk about with everyone and bring to the forefront and get you guys' opinions on it. So the phone lines will be opening. You can call in and share your thoughts, questions, or whatever you have with us tonight. So I wanted to talk about the Department of Education because it's been in the news a lot lately with Trump saying that he wanted to sign an executive order to pretty much abolish the Department of Education. Of course, that caused a firestorm of pushback with a lot of people saying, well, there goes the ending of education in America. And, people on the opposing side that thinks that there's really no need for the Department of Education was saying, well, he'll end the Department of Education on a federal level because obviously that's all he can do. And he'll put education back in the hands of the states, which, could work out for the best, because there's states that, do different things. And every state doesn't want like some overall mandate for education. So when it comes to putting things back in the hands of the state, I don't really have an issue with that because I do think that when you do that, it does give the people within the state the right to determine what different things will be within that state. Just like with abortion, everybody kind of freaked out when it was, Roe v. Wade was overturned in the Supreme Court. And on the state level, I do believe that people can push their state legislators to pass certain laws for that state. And if enough people, disagree with something, they probably could get the needle moving faster on a state level before a federal level. That's just my personal opinion. But another reason I really wanted to talk about this tonight is because when it comes to education in America, when Trump did his address to Congress, he did speak about the education in America and how America is trailing far behind other countries in education. And I do personally believe it's because of the compensatory education style in America. It hasn't really changed in over 100 years. And I personally think that things that may have worked, way back then probably don't necessarily work for, education today and the way people think today and the way people act today and the way people are socialized today. It may not necessarily fit, a student in the year 2025. So I do think that there's some things that need to definitely change when it comes to education. I've always had an issue, especially with younger kids, them sitting in a classroom all day long, well, not all day long, but for several hours, basically being lectured. And young children, their attention spans are not really that long. So, kids begin to get antsy and irritated, and they may not be even really paying attention because they're distracted. So I do think, especially on the elementary level, learning needs to be a lot more interactive, a lot more hands-on, a lot more activity-driven, so the kids can stay focused and be interested. Excuse me. Another thing that I noticed about education, and this is not a condemnation of educators at all. I do understand that teaching is a very hard job. And in many cases, it's a thankless job. And I'm not saying this about teachers who really don't care and kind of just show up for a paycheck. But I don't think that's the mass majority of teachers. I think that if you became an educator, it's because it's something that you believe in for the most part, and you want to help educate, the next generation of people that will be going on off into adulthood and into society. So again, this is not a condemnation of teachers. I just think with the curriculum that teachers are given and, the formats that they have to follow, it's really not the best way to teach children. And again, especially not young children. Another thing that I noticed is that the amount of time that is spent on a particular subject, I don't feel like it really necessarily gives children enough time to comprehend what it is that they are learning, because it's, they have to follow a curriculum, and we're on this subject for this amount of time, and boom, we're off and we're moving on to the next thing. And again, with very young children, I don't think that's necessarily the best way to teach a young child. Again, I feel like with young children, even with some older children, because everyone learns differently. Like me, I don't mind listening to 3, 4, 5, 6 hour lectures. But for a lot of people, they don't want to sit there and just listen. They want to be more hands-on. Now, I like to be hands-on as well when it comes to certain things. But when I'm learning, I don't mind listening for a very long time. But I know people who they learn by doing, not necessarily by listening. Excuse me. So again, I just feel like there needs to be some changes as it relates to education in America, because I believe it was, I want to say in the UK, they have certain curriculums where the students, when they go to school, they spend a lot of time. Of course, they have their arithmetic and things like that, but they get to spend a lot of time being hands-on with areas of study that really interest them. And I think that that's something that America could look into instituting into schools as well. Again, our education, the way students are taught, hasn't really changed all that much in over a century. And I personally believe that it's time for a change, because students really are just getting bored with sitting in classrooms for long periods of time. And there has to be something done to make students more interested in what it is that they're being taught. Now, what really made me want to talk about this tonight is a news report that I saw where a young lady is actually suing her high school.
I'm ready for you.
And, I'm not going to elaborate on it too much, because this was very shocking to me. And when it comes to things in this country, not too much really shocks me, but this was very shocking to me. So I want to go ahead and roll the video. It's kind of lengthy, But trust me, you're going to want to watch the whole thing because I was very shocked and surprised, and I think that all of you who are watching will be just as surprised as I was. Excuse me.
So why aren't we getting any volume from this?
Like I said, please bear with the coughing.
Now to a News 8 special report.
To have a cough attack, but while the video is being worked on, you ready?
Harrowing tale of a Hartford Public Schools graduate. She earned her diploma, unable to read or write, and what she endured is troubling.
She sat down with News 8's Eva Zamaris for her first TV interview. She shares her message.
This is a special report from
a precious moment in time captured in a photo of a young girl with so much hope and promise for the future. But her journey from that moment would prove to be unlike anything she could have ever expected.
My name is Aleysha Ortiz, ALEYSHAORT.
Struggling to spell her own name, 19-year-old Aleysha Ortiz tells us the school district she entrusted with her education failed her, graduating last year unable to read or write.
My time in Hartford Public School was a time that I don't wish upon anyone.
Ortiz moved from Puerto Rico to Connecticut, becoming a Hartford Public School student in the first grade. She struggled with a speech impediment, dyslexia, ADHD, and initially a language barrier.
Every first day of school, I would tell the teacher, hey, I cannot read and write, so please be patient with me, so everyone knew.
For years, she asked for educational resources and support, but instead, she says she was bullied, harassed, and neglected by district employees.
I cried knowing that the people who has big titles know that this is happening, and no one has stepped up to do something about it.
Ortiz has now filed a lawsuit against the city, Board of Education, and one of her special education teachers, claiming her learning disabilities were not properly addressed by the board, and as a result, she continued to struggle academically. This specific complaint names Tilda Santiago, a special education case manager and teacher, who would allegedly yell at, belittle, ridicule, and humiliate Ortiz, adding Ortiz would frequently run to other teachers and or administrators in tears and emotional distress. We reached out to Santiago for a comment. She directed our request to the Board of Education staff attorney. We're waiting to hear back. Ortiz used talk-to-text and other technology to get her grades up, walking the stage at graduation, a moment filled with mixed emotions.
It's the treatment that she had to go through at the hands of several of the people who were the adults in the room who were supposed to be helping her.
We reached out to the city and Board of Education, who tell News 8 they can't comment on ongoing litigation. The superintendent's office also declined to comment. Carol Gill, president of Hartford Federation of Teachers, told us she can't speak on the specific lawsuit, but thinks there needs to be a review of policy. It does give educators in Hartford pause to reflect on the sometimes conflicting goals to increase graduation rates, while also maintaining high expectations consistent with what a high school diploma should mean. Ortiz wants to see change happen so that no other student will have to experience what she did.
Education is so important, and I believe we have forgotten the meaning of it.
Real quick. I don't know if you can notice it or not, but because I've got this computer really stressed out right now because we're streaming on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, X, on all of those platforms right now. We're gonna have to shut these platforms down, guys. We need you to come over to 2raw4tv.tv. Again, that's the number 2 raw, the number 4 tv.tv. Not .com. Don't go to .com and come back and say you didn't find it. All right, so 2raw4tv.tv. TV. I'll be shutting down these platforms one by one, and I'll see you guys back over there.
All right, everybody, come on over to rawfortv.tv. All right, so for everyone who was watching, that video kind of made me emotional. It did make me sad because this is a young lady who wanted to learn. And it sounded like they said she was in special education, which is fine. But she was in special education and she still wanted to be educated. So